some reason
But
he's
then
in there.
absolute asshole of an FBI chief. Like
Yeah.
you don't have anyone who's got like good speeds back. You've just got this dick.
Yeah, exactly. Just Womack yelling at him.
Yeah.
But it works.
Do this.
Oh man, it just works. And Nick Cage was also talking about the hairstylist, which feels really dated nowadays. And Nick Cage didn't really want that hairstylist in the movie who was cutting his hair because he just thought like this is just what's the word? Very exaggerated, very stereotypical. But then
Yeah.
Cage just goes, but it's kind of funny. He's like, it's kind of weird that it's funny. He's like, Michael Bay made it funny for some reason, so I don't hate it as much as I should. But it's just a very heightened, odd choice in Bay's movie, but it doesn't feel odd now because everything's so heightened.
Yeah, it's again, I've met that hairdresser.
Yeah.
Like I've met people like that, and in modern culture now, like it's quite normal to see like that kind of a caricature everywhere. Like some people just put it on themselves. Some people are generally that loud in their life, and it was just kind of like, oh, okay.
But the guy was super nice though, right? He's like, they don't like you very much, do they? He's like, I just care that you liked your haircut. It's he gave him lines. And what I've noticed about Michael Bay movies, there's so many supporting characters. Remember in the War Room in the beginning? There's 8 different talking heads.
Yeah,
talking about that.
They name them all. It's like state your name. It's like, oh, this is FBI General Director, blah blah blah. It's like this is the president, and this is this guy, and this is this guy, and they're never seen again.
No, and they all have a lot of weight to them too, and they're good. I think you know what I wonder what this is. And I know Michael Bay got his start in commercials, and commercials and music videos have to move really quick because you just don't have that much time to shoot. So it's just go.
About what, like 30 seconds, and you need to use every frame.
Exactly.
You've got what, like 3-4 minutes, so you've got a little bit more time to breathe, but still, it's going to be quite compressed.
Mm-hmm. So I wonder if for the rest of his movies, you watch his films, and you see a lot of recurring characters in all of his movies, but then there's also these big name character actors who get 3 minutes of screen time. I wonder if Michael Bay just brings them in because he wants pros to work with and then get out of there. Like just bring some pros in, bring some good names in, knock them out, send them out, let's go home. And he seems like that kind of guy.
Really good pro. They'll come in, do what you want in one take, and then you can can it, and it's like, right, next shot.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's interesting. That's why I like watching this movie. I think Bad Boys had a pretty big cast, but once you go to The Rock, and then you go to Pearl Harbor. I mean, Pearl Harbor had Michael Shannon, Alec Baldwin. I mean, just a huge name of actors in it. In The Island, just if you go through that again,
like Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, Sean Bean, Jaimin Hunsu, Steve Buscemi. I think he just likes.
Buscemi?
Yeah, he's the guy he's the janitor that works at the island. Yeah. And you know what's interesting? For all of Michael Bay's films, that seems the most un-Michael Bay. Because in the Rock commentary, I think he always understood you need an A-lister. So Pain and Gain, he brought in huge A-listers. Pearl Harbor, he brought in 3 of the hottest names at the time to make that movie. I think 13 Hours is a little different because it's more of an ensemble, so it wasn't that big of a budget, so he didn't want that A-lister. But
Armageddon,
oh my gosh. Yeah.
Like you got
Billy Bob. Yeah, just massive names, but
Liv Tyler,
Aerosmith. He did a bunch of videos for them, so they must have done that. They must love Michael Bay. But
yeah,
The Island has. I love Ewan McGregor. I think he's a great actor. But to cast Ewan McGregor in a $90 million sci-fi epic that isn't Star Wars with a built-in fan base, that seems very un-Michael Bay to me to cast him. And I think Ewan McGregor's great, but I wonder if he maybe lost out on an A-lister, then had to bring in Ewan. That's not a thing slight on Ewan.
Well, the thing about Ewan McGregor is he had done some quite interesting work before then. Like this is how he ended up in Star Wars to begin with. Like Trainspotting, for example, is awesome. Like we know the guy has range.
Mm-hmm.
He's Obi-Wan.
But
at that stage, like, he was, quite big because he was in Star Wars, so he was a well-known name. It might have been that he was just in town because he was doing Star Wars promos, and Michael Bay was like, "Hey, do you want to come do this movie with Scarlett Johansson?" And he's like, "Sure."
Yeah, Sean Bean's in it too. Great.
Yeah.
That's an expensive. Have you watched that recently? I had it on in the background.
Not really.
That's an expensive movie right there, Niall. That is they built some sets for that movie. But I guess going back to this, what I like about this is you see so much of the early DNA of Michael Bay in this movie. And I think some of the biggest traits, some of the best and worst traits have led to that. I mean, the comically large explosions. They dropped that bomb down there with a gallon of gasoline, and it's about a half a mile explosion.
Or the single planes bombs that blow up half an island.
Yeah, exactly. And I think he knows the big explosions. You get Nicolas Cage surviving the heightened aesthetic, and I wonder if ever since then because he hasn't reunited with Nicolas Cage, and Nicolas Cage just had nothing but nice things to say about Michael Bay. But I wonder if Michael Bay likes to have. So he brought in Shia for all these movies, and he brought in Mark Wahlberg for all these movies. So I think he likes to have.
For a while.
Oh, Affleck. I think he likes to have collaborators, not people who challenge him, which is fine because he leads such a big set. And I'm not phrasing that in a way where he gets rid of people who want to do their own thing.
Megan Fox have a falling out because he's too controlled.
Yeah, because she didn't want to deal with his crap, right? Yeah, and then they made up, and then she was in the TMNT movies, which is kind of nice. But I wonder if moving forward he didn't want to deal with that anymore. So we've got kind of other actors, because it was really interesting listening to Nick Cage talk about this, because he didn't want to film the scene at the end. He didn't want to be at the church ripping that thing off the table. Yeah, he didn't want to do certain scenes, but so he rewrote them and he did them because he's a professional and he liked Michael Bay. But I wonder if after that Michael Bay just kind of said, "Listen, we need contributors, or I need not a contributor. I need someone that works like a symbiotic relationship where we work together."
Yeah, I think just on that scene is kind of the only one that feels a little bit tacked on. Like, did they really need to show that church scene with the leg, or kind of left it at?
Did he just walk into that church and just rip it off? And then, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, basically, yeah. We just went in, ripped the leg off the thing, and then ran away.
And then they learned who shot JFK. That's crazy.
Yeah.
What would you do with that information, Niall?
I don't know. Write a blog post these days. It's like, is it going to be earth-shattering news? The real truth of what happened, on my birthday 60-odd years ago.
Oh, that's when it was, on your birthday?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The only way I can actually remember the date is that was actually on my birthday. I can remember that.
Oh, jeez Louise. So, hey, where would you rank these movies, like this film in against the other 90s blockbusters? Is this tier 1 action? Is this tier 2? Is this up there with T2 and maybe Speed or True Lies?
Definitely. This is... it's got all the elements there. It's got the funny quips, the little one-liners here and there. It's got some good action. There are, you've got the Die Hard on an island kind of feel to it, where it's okay, we're one guy against many and has to take down this threat kind of thing, where everything had to be Die Hard on or something.
Mm-hmm.
You've got, the music is great. Hans Zimmer's got this score going through it that's, if you were to listen to the theme from The Rock and straight afterwards listen to the theme from Pirates of the Caribbean, you'll basically think they're from the same movie. A lot of the same notes and through, because something I do like to do is I'll listen to the best of Hans Zimmer or various movie composers and just listen to the themes. And you'll be like, okay, is that one from The Rock? It's maybe. Is that Pirates of the Caribbean? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, no, it's solid. It's a It's a wonderful score, and I also like the subversion of the classic villain trope, where Hummel isn't some maniacal general. They're saying he's a hero. No, he's a legend. At the end, he actually was trying to bluff everyone, but he ended up bringing these mercenaries who were legit, not crazy,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, they were in it for the money, right? And
Yeah.
as soon as the money was there, whereas he was an idealist.
Mm-hmm.
And, I feel like Hummel was redeemed in the end. Like, he wasn't actually the villain at all. He was just, someone who's going about trying to do good in a misguided way. He's almost like I wouldn't quite say an anti-hero, but I wouldn't say he's a villain.
Yeah, it made him much more likable. And at the end he dies, and then he's not around anymore. Then it becomes more about the other two guys. It's a really interesting. The main antagonist is just killed off, an act. But he also kills Bokeem Woodbine. He just shoots him right in the chest. So it's he just gets it over his head.
He chose to, go against him, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I kind of. Is it a bit naive though that he kept playing kind of general towards the end? I mean, what did they say? They were mercenaries at that point.
Yeah.
So they're sticking. Call him general. What's up?
Mercenaries still have ranks.
Yeah, it's true.
Have a chain of command. Even if you're soldiering for money.
Yeah, and he just lost control at the end because his bluff was called.
His bluff was called, therefore he didn't have the money, which meant he was no longer in charge.
Makes sense. Oh, I just learned something fun. The DP, John Schwartzman, started with Michael Bay on the Meatloaf. So Michael Bay directed Bat Out of Hell and I Would Do Anything for Love. And John Schwartzman worked on that. He also did Airheads, by the way. Love that movie. But this is what Schwartzman came from. He did Benny and June, then he did Meatloaf, then he did Airheads with Brendan Fraser, Meatloaf, a Pyromaniacs.
Weird. They're like Benny and June was a weird one.
Yeah, so these tiny films, Airheads, Meatloaf, a Pyromaniacs Love Story, REM, Strange Currencies, Mr. Wrong, the Ellen DeGeneres Bill Pullman movie, and then The Rock. But then he moved on to Conspiracy Theory, Armageddon, Pearl Harbor, Seabiscuit, National Treasure, Book of Secrets, Night at the Museum, The Amazing Spider-Man, Dracula Untold, Jurassic World. He had quite a jump there.
Well, yeah, I guess for a little while he did like Michael Bay's stuff, so Armageddon, Pearl Harbor, did you say?
Yeah.
And then they could pretty much do whatever he wanted after that.
I mean, after surviving the huge shoot that was Pearl Harbor, you could pretty much do anything after that.
Yeah.
I would say. But yeah, this movie, it's interesting how Michael Bay took a lot of people with him. He took a lot of returning, the camera people, like his John Schwartzman as DP. This is now they are under the tutelage of Simpson and Bruckheimer, but this is a young crew getting this stuff done, and it looks legit. This was big. I guess the more I research it, the more I'm impressed by it, and just the more I learn about it. And the production designer stuck with Michael Bay, which is pretty cool, all throughout.
The thing is, like, a lot of times, like, it's not just limited to film. Like, if people find that they do good work together, they'll stay together. Like, my previous team and, like, my previous company, like, after I left, it turned out, like, 4 or 5 of them all moved to the same company and are, like, working together still on the same team. Like, so that team is kind of just, like, stuck together because they like working together and they're, like, doing good work.
Mm-hmm. And if you're a good crew, I mean, that's half the film industry. That's why there's such a lack of diversity in the film industry, because people just bring in the people that they've worked with before. But I guess if you're working with a crew you like and you're basically going into 3 months of no sleep, I get you want to know people that you're working with and being grumpy with out and about. So yeah, it makes sense. Hey, so what's up?
The first-hand experience of that, right?
Exactly. Hey, so before we get out of here, what are your 3 favorite moments from this movie?
My 3 favorite moments. So I think I guess we can go in reverse order. So